According to an article that was written by Benjamin Hardy and it was published in the Arkansas Times in May of 2015, in 2011, there were 3 little girls, all of who were sisters, that were taken into custody and placed into foster care. Several months after this, a family known as the Harrises decided to foster all 3 little girls. The girls entered their home in 2012, but after just a few months, things began to go wrong. So they decided to place the oldest child, who at this time was 6, back into foster care due to what they said was behavioral problems. But they did decide to keep the younger 2 children. In March of 2013, they became the legal guardians of the younger 2 children, and shortly after this, they claimed that the younger 2, who were 5 and 3 at this time, were dangerously violent and that they feared for the safety of their younger 2 sons. However, they didn't feel like they could reach out to the Department of Human Services, so instead, they gave away the 2 children to their friends Eric and Stacy Francis. Not long after this, and due to circumstances that aren't really known, these children were moved to a 3rd home, and this was all without the supervision of DHS or the court. In March of 2014, during a police investigation, it was found that one of the children was sexually abused while under the care of Eric and Stacy, and so now Eric is facing prison time for this, as well as other crimes that he committed. And while all of this has occurred, the Harrises have yet to face any consequences for their actions, and Mr. Harris is actually still serving as a state representative at this time. Child rehoming can be very detrimental to the children involved and their well-being. It's something that needs to be taken very seriously and needs to be addressed in order to ensure the safety and security of children who are involved in foster care and adoption. The problem of rehoming can be caused by financial instability and the use of social media and the advertising of children, as well as the fact that many children who are in the system are going to suffer from behavioral and emotional problems. Rehoming subjects children to mental and emotional stress, hence authorities should adopt policies that prohibit the online advertisement of children to eliminate it. In order to understand child rehoming and address the problem accurately, we're going to discuss the problems and the causes of child rehoming, as well as give potential solutions to the problem. So to begin, we must first look at the problems. Child rehoming results in a variety of problems among the children who are involved. According to an article that was published in the Times in 2009, most children illegally transferred to other countries or families suffered from behavioral problems because they lacked parental care and love. Additionally, some children often also suffer from physical and verbal abuses in the family that they're rehomed with. According to an article published in the Daily Beast by Tim Traster in 2014, rehoming can facilitate the transfer of children to cruel families that don't care about their well-being. So consequently, children are going to face mental and physical abuse that can cause emotional and behavioral issues for them later on. And further, rehoming can lead to sexual abuse as well. According to a book, it's known as Human Trafficking in Ohio, was written by Wilson and Dalton in 2007. Some families adopt children illegally and then sexually abuse them because they're aware that the authorities don't know where these children are. And so as a result, these victims may contract STDs as well as suffer from physical and emotional trauma that can occur after suffering from abuse. Equally important, rehoming leads children to unstable homes sometimes. So some parents will take their children to low-income families that may lack proper housing, adequate resources such as food. This is according to a book written by DiStefano in 2007. It was called The War on Human Trafficking. Therefore, some children lack proper care and housing, which puts them at a higher risk for living in impoverished conditions, and this can lead to things such as malnutrition and illness, among various other things. Children suffer from behavioral problems, physical and verbal abuses, and sexual abuse, which result from financial difficulties of the adoptive parents. The use of online platforms to advertise and adopt children, as well as emotional and behavioral issues of children. Numerous cases of rehoming can result from financial instability of the adoptive parents. So some parents rehome their adoptive children due to lack of enough funds to support them. Therefore, they decide to offer them to families who they feel are more financially stable and that can support them through the provision of food, shelter, and clothing. Traster claimed that the use of online platforms to advertise and acquire children can cause rehoming. Some parents practice rehoming due to their inability to find someone to adopt their children. On the other hand, some do it because they can easily acquire children through the internet. According to a book written by Gallagher, this was in 2010, it's called The International Law of Human Trafficking. Parents may practice rehoming due to behavioral and emotional issues among children. Often these issues are going to occur because of prior trauma and abuse that these children endured long before they were ever placed into foster care. Therefore, parents transfer these children to others because they feel like they're not able to handle the child's behavior. Also, some parents will practice rehoming because the adoption procedure is easy and it requires no formal documents. So, also, formal adoptions are very expensive, so this is a way for those people to avoid that. According to a journal article that was written, it's called There's No Place Like Home. It was written by Jordan. Legal adoption requires background checks and home inspections for the adoptive parents. So as a result, some parents are unwilling to provide that information, and thereby they resort to rehoming instead. The issues described can be addressed through the implementation of a policy that prohibits bad practices and promotes funding of the unstable fostering families. Jordan suggests that the Hague Adoption Convention standards should be implemented between states to protect children. The policy ensures that the adoption agencies and adoption certificates are accredited, and then also the authorities should formulate and implement a policy that prohibits the online advertisement for the adoption of children. This will facilitate elimination of illegal rehoming because parents will be unaware of the available children, and equally the government should implement a policy that allows financial support for the adoptive parents. The policy will ensure that there's enough financial help for the unstable families who have adopted the children, and thus this could reduce the rehoming that is caused from financial instability. Additionally, a policy should be adopted that creates strict legal measures such as lengthy sentences against persons that engage in legal rehoming. These policies would ideally reduce or eliminate the rehoming that's occurring. And rehoming can have many adverse effects on children. It can result in mental, emotional suffering among children, and it puts the children at risk of being abused. The causes of rehoming can vary depending upon the situation, but it can be regulated through stricter policies on the practice as well as financial support for the unstable adoptive parents. And children should be protected from harm by all means, and anything that affects them adversely needs to be addressed appropriately.